Yeah. Start on it. Good afternoon, everybody. Uh, Today morning we had a very good session on basic communication skills by Dr. Sher Mohammad Khan. Now the second section, which is also very important, which is interview skills. Um, the resource person is Mr. Mudassir Ahmed. He is a software engineer and he is also a social worker. He is helping the CGC, that is Career Guidance Council, since a long time. I'm very thankful to him for sparing the time for our interview skills offline, online program. Without any further delay, I request Mr. Mudassir Ahmed to take the session.
Good evening, everyone. All right. So, my name is Mudassir. So, first of all, I'm really thankful to Dr. Yusuf sir and the other dignitaries for giving me this opportunity and sparing some time today. And all the students who are here with us in person and watching us online as well. I'm thankful to all of you for spending some of your valuable times listening to me. And I promise you, before we leave, we will have something very fruitful and important today. So before we start, I'll give you one very short and important story so that we connect, break the ice, and get going. Okay? Are you all guys with me? Just raise a hand. Yep. I see a few of them are not raising. Are you all guys with me? Awesome. So this is the energy. So in 2014, there was a boy who was in desperation of a job. He was very much, in need of a job. All of his peers and friends in the college were already placed, but this guy, unlike his friends, he was not getting the job. And the other important thing is his college did not have the placements. So the only option is for him to travel outside and attend the offline placements. So he attended one interview. There was one fine morning, he receives an email that, hey, you have been invited for this so-and-so company, and you are expected to travel to Bangalore. So this guy was in Hyderabad, and he was expected to travel to Bangalore. And mind you, this guy had never gone out of Hyderabad any time. Just in search of a job, he travels to Bangalore for the very first time outside his comfort zone and goes and attends the interview. Very morning, he goes well dressed, everything prepared or top notch, attends the interview, first round, clears. He's through with the first round. And when it comes to the second round, there are questions about teamwork, there are questions about how you would react in a situation, etc. All the logical and analytical questions, nothing technical. And to his surprise, he gets rejected. He gets what? Rejected. So it was his first failure in life that he had to travel outside his comfort zone. He got a little spark of hope in the first round, he gets cleared, and then in the second round, he gets rejected. He travels back home, analyzes what has gone wrong, and etc. And certainly after a few days, he gets another interview. Like that, he attempts that interview, fails again, one other interview, fails again. And remember, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring your kind attention that he failed 13 interviews, and today he's standing in front of you addressing the training or addressing the topic on interview tips. Nothing inspirational as such, but I just wanted to ponder upon one important aspect of our lives. If we are not giving 100% of what we are capable of, we might fail again and again and again. And today, I'm not going to talk to you about something that I've read in books, about something that I have heard from somebody, but something that I have carefully analyzed about what I have experienced in my life. I'm going to teach you with my failures. I'm going to tell you something that has helped me grow. And today, I have over a decade of experience in the IT firm. Can we move to the next slide, please? And before we jump on and you guys look at the slide, I just wanted to ask you for a couple of questions. And we know that we are fans of celebrities in India. In a country like India, we look up to multiple celebrities. And how many of you guys know Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam? Can I have a raise of hands if you guys know who is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam? Yeah. For those of you who are not raising hand, do I doubt that you don't know him? He's the former president of India, right? How many of you know that he was rejected multiple times in his career? To the facts, he was rejected in Indian Air Force out of the 25 candidates that had appeared for the interview. The rest is history, right? He became the former president of India. How many of you guys know that the icon celebrity of India, whom we call as Shahinshah of Bollywood, Amitabh Bachchan, he was also rejected in the radio rounds. Mind you, let me continue the list because I have come with the facts. Ratan Tata, he was rejected in an interview at IBM. The rest is history. I don't need to speak about him. Mr. Narayan Murthy, who is the co-founder of Infosys, he was also rejected in multiple interviews. And the last person I would like to talk about in the multiple list of people here I have is Jack Ma, who's the founder of Alibaba, right? He is one of the very known billionaires of the world. He was rejected 30 times in the interviews that he had appeared. And today he is ruling the world in cloud, right? Now, why am I talking about these people and why we are discussing about the failures that these celebrities have? Remember that nobody in life will teach you as much as your own failures do. If you have failed in life, be thankful to the Creator that He has given you an opportunity to selflessly ponder upon yourself, analyze what has gone wrong, and through all the people that we have listened to, through all the people that we look up to, everyone has a common saying that you are your best teacher. If you have failed in life, think about, analyze what has gone wrong. And if you're not learning from the failures, those failures are not your teachers anymore. So this is something that I want you guys to please imbibe in your minds before we proceed ahead. So now, the first slide, as you can see, a funny man appearing in the round of interview. He gets very tensed. Can you read what is written on the slide, please? Some of you take a lead and volunteer. I'm really sorry, but I can't hear you. Correct. So everyone gets nervous. Everyone has this sense of nervousness. That's why we are human. Nobody is perfectionist, right? Everyone gets nervous. Even a second before I was walking onto this dais, I was nervous. Although I have appeared for these sessions, I've taken these round of takes hundreds of times in my life, but I was nervous. So now let me read out one more time loudly what's the biggest fear in an interview, and I need your cooperation very kindly. Can any one of you say one word? What is that one sense which you are afraid of when you go and hit for the interview table? Hesitation? Yeah. Any more leads, please? Confidence. Nice. Communication. Awesome. Any more? All right. So we have good amount of participation in terms of hesitations here. So one is the confidence. And I might not be able to give you 100% of confidence, but we'll do a quick exercise that will help you before you go and enter the interview room. It will definitely boost your confidence. We would come to that. The other is communication. Now, there have been lots and lots of students reaching out to me over these past years that, so we are not able to communicate properly. Even though the answer is in my head, I'm not able to communicate it. Even though I know what needs to be said, but I'm not able to articulate that in my words. That is something that we need to work. We need to cautiously understand what my body is going through. Right? First, let's take a topic of the confidence. Now, this is something I used to do, which I'm going to ask you guys as well. Okay? So just a disclaimer, I would be asking all of you guys to stand up. Not now, not now. I will be asking all of you guys to stand up and just do a little small exercise. And this exercise, even if you are experiencing a low in confidence, any phase in your life, do this, and you will remember me and thank me virtually. Right? Are you guys ready? I'm really not able to hear you guys. Awesome. Can I request all of you to please stand up? And those of you who are watching us online as well, I cannot question if you are not standing, but please stand up. Now, what we are going to do right now is do a power posing, okay? This is something that you do alone, not in front of anybody. But have you guys heard of a superhero called Superman? And all of us have a picture of Superman in head, right? So this is something that I want all of you to do. Put your hands on your waist. Put your chin a little high. Close your eyes and feel the confidence. Just a little change in posture is giving you confidence. Is it giving you or not? Yeah? Now, if you are feeling low in confidence, just do this, chin high, and you have this thought in your head that I'm going to conquer whatever is going to come in my way. That is one thing, all right? The next exercise, what we are going to do is, we all do this thing, right? V for victory, yeah? Let's pose both our hands in the V shape. Can we have a raise in hands? Yeah. Do this, take a deep breath, and whenever you are feeling anxious, whenever you are feeling nervous, remember to do these two exercises. I'm really thankful to all of you. Please have your seats. So this is something that I generally encourage people to go through when they are feeling low in confidence. The other one of the thing was low in communication. So oftentimes we face people who are not able to communicate or articulate what they are feeling within themselves to the interviewer, right? The main cause, I don't say the only cause, but one of the main causes why this happens is we have so much in our mind, but we don't know what to say, right? This is one of the very major causes that every student goes through. Okay, the interviewer asked me, tell me about yourself. Should I start with my college? Should I start with my school? Should I say about my work, what I've done? Multiple things hitting my head, blank. I'm not able to communicate anything. See, English is just a medium of communication. Your confidence and your knowledge is what speaks. What do you do when you're feeling low in terms of communication? The best thing that you can do is understand what your body is going through. Understand what you need to say. For if you have 10 things in your mind, prioritize what needs to be said. Don't get carried away with your emotions, right? So this will definitely help you articulate better in terms of communication. Now, there was a time when I heard one of the stories that my colleague, he was in the interview and he was actually attending the interview, and the interviewer asked him, like, tell me about yourself. What do you do? He said, I love coding and biryani, right? He was very honest. He said, I just love coding and biryani. And the interviewer actually laughed, smiled at him, and he said, even I love biryani. So that thing broke the ice, and he was able to communicate better. So never ever take anybody for granted and take him for ruling your consciousness. The other person who is interviewing you had been in your shoes long time ago. So he understands what you are going through. So don't get carried away with the emotions. Just articulate, prioritize what needs to be said, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's what we call it as presentation, right? Can we move to the next slide, please? Now, the interesting part here is, what do we do when we get a call to the interview? Right? Generally, what do we do is on the day of interview, we take a printout of our CV, dress up very nicely, and go and attend the interview. Correct? That's a major part everybody does. If you see, these days, the world as it evolves, people are expecting you to be well prepared for the interview. When I say well prepared, it's not just about the technology that you have learned. It's not just about the education that you have had. It's about the company that you are appearing for. Let's say you're going for an interview to attend for the company XYZ. You need to be well prepared about the company. Do a little research about that company. And mind you, in all the 13 interviews I attended and failed, one of the interviews, they asked me about the company, and I was lucky to be prepared of it and answered the company data. Right? For example, they asked how much is the revenue that this company made, which is available on Google. It just shows that I have done my research about the company. It's not about the value or the answer correctness or wrongness. It's just about the research and the preparedness that I had, or if I'm giving my 100% or not. Now, let's say we received an invite for the interview. What do they look for? What are they expecting you to be prepared of? They don't expect you to primarily be well dressed. Okay, this guy came in sports shoes. I was expecting him to be in the formal shoes. No, that's not the priority. The priority are the three things. One is the skill. Are you a well match for the skill that the interviewer is looking for? That goes to show that have you well prepared, or are you well deserving for the job opening that this company has to offer. Always make this as a priority to be well prepared about the skills. And these skills need not be technical skills all the time. It can be communication skills. It can be your confidence. It can be your technical skills. It can be about the way you're presenting yourself. And for if you're not able to get out of a situation that the interview has pondered upon you, how are you able to articulate? How are you able to, get way through about that situation matters. These skills play a very important role. Now, the next thing is the cultural fit. So every company, either it be an MNC or a local company, every company has some norms, has some guidelines, has some policies to go through. So are you a cultural fit for the company is what they see. So if you are like, for example, I have seen people whom I interview, they are very well in the technical specs. For example, if I give any technical question, they're able to answer, right? If I ask them to write a code in Python, they're able to answer. Everything what I ask them, they do. And even they are good in communication skills as well. But I had seen few people that they lack in the behavioral skills. Then they are not able to present themselves in a proper way, what we call it as a professional way, right? So these things also matter. So are you a good fit for the culture that this company has to offer? Because every company has their own standards, policies, and cultures. Okay? The next thing is the growth potential. Now, this is a very important point. I need your attention, guys. So if you are a fresher and if you're going to attend for an interview, please have in mind that as a fresher, nobody expects you to know everything, right? They don't expect you to know, for example, I can speak of IT because I belong to that industry. They don't expect me to know how to write a lengthy code. They don't expect me to know what is this algorithm, that algorithm, etc. The interviewer clearly knows what I have studied and what could I have expanded my knowledge towards. The only thing that the interviewer will carefully analyze and look upon is how much of growth potential that you have. Are you willing to grow in this company or not? Do you have that the sponge behavior to absorb what comes in you or not? So this is very important aspect that the interviewers look up to. So these are the three things that, according to me, you should have in yourself before you walk into the interview room. Can we please move to the next slide? Now, this is a golden phase and the golden slide of my presentation because the star is in the golden color, right? So now, what do you see on the slide? What is that method called? Sorry? Which method? The star method, right? Can I have a little bit of louder noise and say what is that method? Star method. So this star method, according to a lot of experts, this star method is the go-to rule if you are attending any interviews. Mind you guys, I'll just give you a quick example and connect this the slide with, and you'll understand the importance of this star method. Now, let's say that I got the invite for an interview. I attended the interview, knocking the door, got permitted to get inside, sat down, and the first question is, tell me about yourself, right? So I get to speak about myself and etc. The next question is, how have you proven yourself to be a good team player? Have you worked with a team is the question. Now this, let's understand this scenario. What is the question? Am I a good team player? Right? This is the question. Now, I attended the interview and attended the session, and Mudassir the other day was talking about the star method. Now let's try to connect the star method with this question. The question is, how good are you as a team player? Now the star stands for STAR, which is situation, task, action, and result. I need to give an answer which breaks through all these four aspects now. The first is the situation. Again, just to bring you up to speed, the question is, how good am I as a team player? In my college, what have I done specifically to talk talk through that I'm a good team player? The situation is, I would explain the interviewer that in my college there was a cultural fest wherein a lot of students gathered through. Situation is done. Now the next point is what? Task. The task is, I would say, I was assigned with the responsibility of managing the logistics throughout this cultural event. All the sound system, the chairs and everything, the mics, all the logistics basically. The task is done. What is the next aspect? Action. So now the action speaks up and says that during this cultural event, I managed to pull through the last minute changes. I worked with multiple teams. One team which was the designing, one team was the marketing, one team was to manage the guests and etc. So I was the one managing all through these people. So here I'm addressing the answer. And the last point is the result. The result says that the cultural event went through successfully. Now, if you see, I could have answered that I'm a very good team player, and if anything comes in through, I just work along with people and etc. That was a very good answer for claiming that you are a good team player. But with the star method, you're not just telling the interviewer that you are a good team player, but you are explaining the situation and you are explaining the task that you had done along with the action that made you a good team player, right? So please remember that whenever in your interviews, if you are asked for a certain question, make sure that you break down that answer in the star method. That gives a weightage of what you have done, right? So let's have a quick round of a loud noise and understand what is star method. S stands for, I'm hardly able to hear you guys. S stands for situation, and T. Okay, what is the star method, guys? Awesome. So make sure, practice to always have this set of answers broken into situation, task, action, and then result. Okay, would you be remembering this in your next interview? Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Can we move to the next slide? Now, for if you have done a good amount of research about the company, and if you have done good preparation, the next aspect is to prepare for the interview. And to prepare for the interview, the primary thing is to create a good resume. I could have given you a good amount of examples here, copied from Google and internet, that this is a good resume, that is a good resume, this is a template, that is a good template, etc. You may be able to find them good enough on the internet, but I feel that the most viable option here is to talk about what should be done in your CV and what should be avoided, right? The do's and the don'ts. So what you need to do is keep it clear, guys. Okay, don't try to stretch on something that you don't relate with. For example, I have seen people who write the interview CV, and in that CV they have the section called hobbies and they write cooking. So that part of the section, although you are able to convince people that you love cooking or etc., but do you really think that the CV is made for mentioning that cooking hobby? No. Right? So mind you, always have the CV very much clear, your resume very much clear. If you really want to speak about your hobby, wait for the question to come from the interviewer. Okay? Because your CV speaks on your behalf in your absence. Make sure that it's very clean. Now the next point is, if you're trying to explain about what you have done, right? For example, if you're not a fresher or if you have a good amount of industry experience, try to use those words called I led this team, I developed this thing, or I created this project, and etc. For if you are not a professional who is experienced in the industry and coming through a fresher background, then in that case you can talk about the projects that you have done, the cultural activities that you have gone through. Okay. The third thing is, if I am applying as a fresher for multiple job openings, what mistake that we often do is we generally tend to make one resume for all the jobs. First, as I said in the beginning, understand the company, understand the job description, right? So if your job description demands something, try to tailor your resume, try to cut down something or try to add something that matches with the job description of that particular company. Don't make a mistake of having one resume for all the jobs. Understand what is coming in, because as a fresher, you might be able to apply for multiple jobs because you have different skills, and you cannot, in all the cases, make one resume apply for all the jobs. The last thing is, make sure there are no spelling mistakes in the resume, because this is something that I have seen personally in multiple resume, that people make silly mistakes when it comes to typos and etc. These are the do's. Let's talk about the don'ts, right? As I said just now, although your cooking hobby is relevant to you, but it's not relevant to the job that you are applying for. So make sure that you only have something in your resume that is relevant, okay, that matches with the job. And the next thing is, whenever you are asked about something, because as I just spoke of, your interview will be taken on behalf of the CV that is presented on my table or the interviewer's table. They will understand or go through what you have done so far, and they will question you on only what is seen on the CV, correct? So now, if you have lied on something, or if you try to just show off, you might be questioned of something that you don't know. And then comes the staircase of lies and lies and lies. And mind you, in few seconds, the interview will catch that if you're lying, because the confidence suddenly goes down, right? Please do not lie either in the resume or when you're on the table, okay? Now, the third thing is, we often see that when people are creating their resume, they have their email address written just below the phone number, right? Which is a good practice. Now, when you write an email address, try to make it a little professional. Don't just write amir_hunk@yahoo.com, right? No offense to Amir if he's here, right? So don't just make some unprofessional email IDs. So I have seen few of the sheikh_for_you@gmail.com. So these are so many unprofessional email addresses, right? So if you are applying for a professional job, first thing is to create a very good professional email ID. What is a professional email ID? It should not have numbers, or it should not have something that is irrelevant or funky, right? Try to cut down to your first name and last name. And for if you don't find those email availabilities, try to make it a little shorter and professional enough. Okay, so these are the do's and don'ts that I feel you should be able to address them while you are appearing for the interview, right? Now, can we move to the next slide? This is my last slide, but now before we move on to the last slide, we will have a quick round of understanding what goes through. So until now, I just spell out what I had prepared for, and let me throw some experienced Gyan now. Let's say that there is a guy who is asked to uh, you know enter the interview room, and can I have a caller mic, please? Yeah. Yeah. So let's imagine that there is a guy who is invited for the interview, and the first question is, "Tell me about yourself." But this is a very golden question, right? Please remember that the interviewer already knows about you. He has the resume. He knows that you love cooking, and he knows that you're coming from this university. What's your percentage, and etc. Please do not make a mistake of repeating what is there already on your resume, right? So what is the question? Question is, tell me about yourself. So there are often very kind interviewers who say that, tell me about yourself, that is not there in your resume, which clears the question, right? But if you're just asked of tell me about yourself, make sure that you're not exactly telling what is already there in your resume. So what do you do? How do you start? I often tell the people that this is a very golden question, and this is where you can explore yourself, flourish your everything. Even though the interviewer is not asking few of the questions there, but tell me about yourself is a very golden question that you can prove to the interviewer what you are capable of and what are your skills. For example, if there is a guy from a technical background, tell me about yourself would something be like, introduce yourself, give your name, and you say that I have done these many projects in my engineering or in my polytechnic and etc. In my UG or PG, I've done this and this. Apart from this, I have done that. So here you're telling the interviewer that you have actually done by going above and beyond what your educational institution had to offer you. You're giving that sense, okay, this guy has done some extra studies to cater himself and bring him up to the speed. So, students, tell me about yourself is a very golden question. Please make sure that you don't miss that chance. You don't actually lose that chance to give a good impression to the interview. So the first question is, tell me about yourself. And then the question keeps on coming, depends on the interviewer. I cannot guarantee that, all the interviewers will be asking this question only. But I can guarantee you that tell me about yourself is the question that will come most of the times, probably more than 90% of the times, right? So the next thing is talking about the skills. When you're talking about the skills, please make sure that you honestly tell them that this is what I have done and this is what I'm planning to do. If you say the current state and the future state, that gives a hope of growth potential to the interviewer, right? You just don't stop at, okay, this is what I've done. All right. Now, since past few minutes we are discussing what needs to be done, what needs to be done, and what needs to be done. Now let me give you an example of what need not be done or should not be done in an interview. For example, if I am asked tell me about yourself, I would say, hey, my name is Mudassir. I have this many years of experience. I've done this. Stop. I'm looking at the interviewer is looking at me. And for if
the interview gets over and my counselor asked me, hey, did you tell about yourself? Yeah, I told him that he asked me about what I have done. I just told him that I have good experience. Then my counselor questions me, hey, why did you tell about this project? तो उसने पूछा ही नहीं तो मैंने बोला ही नहीं. Right? So this is something that we don't want to do. Don't wait for the interviewer to ask the question. If you have all the weapons, put it on the table. If you have prepared for something, put it on the table. You don't wait for the interviewer to ask that question. Okay, wait for the good chance and then, अरे यार उसने पूछा ही नहीं. No, don't just do that, and don't leave all your professional skills onto the luck. That stake of luck is very, very dangerous. The next question that comes often generally is, what do I do? Islam. So generally, what do we do in that case is, tell me about yourself, as I was saying, is a very golden question. So if I'm not a well-prepared guy, what generally I do is, my name is Mudassir, I just pass out from this college in this year, and I've done this and that, stop. That brings down the interest and the confidence of the interviewer, right? The next question is, okay, I am seeing your resume. You mentioned that you did this and that. Now, most of the time what happens is your CVs are not prepared by you, right? Your CVs are just copy pasted from the internet and you don't even see what is there in the CV. Please do not do this mistake. Carefully understand what is written, carefully go through each point that you are presenting to the interviewer, because I am keep on repeating this point, your resume speaks on behalf of yourself, even though when you're not speaking. So make sure whatever is written in your resume is up to the mark, genuine and correct. For example, the interview goes through. There could be multiple questions, depends on the stream and the job description that is open for. The interview is over. Now what do you do after that? You don't just stay calm. This is the major mistake that we do. If the interview is done, you drop an email to the interviewer. And if you're very sharp, you would ask for the contact details of the interviewer, the email ID at least. And you drop an email to that interviewer asking for a follow-up. Yes, this is professional. You can do it. There's no harm in doing it. There's no harm in following up. What we generally do is we only attend the interview, go back home, and wait for the HR to get back to us. No. Please keep on sending the email. Don't just flood or spam their inboxes, but once in a while, just have a follow-up email. This would definitely help, guys, I'm telling you. Right? So this is the last slide that we had about following up the post-interview that we need to do. And this is predominantly one of the major skills that we need to have in ourselves. So can we have the next slide? That actually concludes my presentation. Now, I am open to the questions if you have any, and we would take any questions or any suggestions that you want. Probably my experience could help.
सर जैसे कि आप बता रहे हो इसके रिलेटेड, तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जब हम सीवी और रिज्यूम बनाते हैं तो उसमें जो हेडिंग्स होती हैं, हाइलाइट्स जो होती हैं, वो क्या हमें उसमें डालनी चाहिए, वो हमें कंफ्यूज हो जाता है. क्योंकि हम उसमें लिखते हैं तो रॉन्ग हो जाता है. फिर टॉपिक जैसे आपने बताया, और एक होता है लैंग्वेज. लैंग्वेज में हम लोग जितनी लैंग्वेजेस हमें आती हैं, मदर टंग वगैरह सब ऐड करते हैं. तो मैं हाइलाइट्स के बारे में पूछना चाहूँगी कि रिज्यूम क्या है.
That's a very good question. आपने जो पूछा है, this question I had it from multiple other students. So thank you for asking and taking one for the team. The question that came to me was, how about the highlights to be mentioned in the resume, right? Because I just talked about one of the highlights about hobbies. There could be some few others on language and etc. Please remember, make your resume a single slide, single page resume. That's the first golden rule. The more number of pages, the more confusing the interview is going to be. I'm not saying that multiple pages is a bad practice, but try to limit it to one single slide. Okay. Now, once you are bringing your resume to a single slide, you're actually talking about your capabilities and etc. in a very concise manner. Now, I cannot say a golden rule that these are the highlights only that are needed, because you may belong to a certain stream of education, the other person might belong to other stream of education. Now, what needs to be said is, go through the templates that any industry has to offer. For example, if you're coming from mass communication background, right? Go to the internet, understand what are the templates for a mass comm student. If you're coming from a polytechnic background, understand what are the templates for the mass polytechnic students. Now, if you understand the template, you'll get an idea what needs to be mentioned. Please do not copy. Do not copy what is there on internet, but make sure that the template is actually serving your analytical thinking to keep what is there in your resume and exclude what needs to be avoided. Okay. Now, I might not be able to answer you exactly what your question is, to keep the side headings and to remove the side headings. Again, I'm telling you that there is no golden rule that one for all, right? It cannot be a one resume for all, but try to make sure that your resume talks about the education, the experience, and the expertise. Do not keep your hobbies, language, etc., because it just shows off that you want to fill the space rather than talking about what your skills are, right? You must have done something in your education. You must have done something out of the education above and beyond. Try to limit that in your resume, right? So that shows off how you're following the template, because the template actually talks about the skills, the expertise, and the education, right? Hope that answers your question. Any more questions? There could be two possibilities if there are no questions. Either you have understood everything or none.
Sir, one more question. रेज्यूम में सर ऐसे होता है कि किसी रेज्यूम में फोटो होता है, मींस क्या वो इफेक्टिव होता है लगाना, फिर जरूरी नहीं होता है?
जरूरी नहीं है फोटो लगाना, because if you're keeping a single slide resume, a single page resume, your top section would talk about your name, email ID, the contact number, right? In most of the cases, you keep a photo, but generally for a professional resume, we do not encourage to keep a photo. Any more questions? Let's try to make it more interactive, guys. So.
Thank you very much. Your presentation was very excellent, and definitely here the students will get benefit. But I think one more thing is need to be added, that is, after completion of the interviewer asks the question. Any questions from your side to the persons? What should be your answer?
Awesome. I thank you for asking this question, because this is very fantastic and an excellent question, because we often prepare for the entire interview, but we don't prepare ourselves to get out of the interview, right? How do we exit the interview? So this is one of the very key questions that we get asked of, that any questions for me? Because this is a formality. And as an interviewer, I have this checklist to ask few questions. And one of them is to ask the student, any questions from your side? Now, if you are asked about this question, any questions from your side, then the answer should be, I feel that one of the very beautiful questions that you can answer as part of this answer is what are my expected job roles? What am I expected to do for this particular job description? For example, if I have been grilled or questioned about the interview for 1 hour or so, and the interviewer says, any questions from your side? I would be asking, sir, if I get selected, what will be my job roles or responsibilities? That goes to show that you are actually interested in working for the company, irrespective of what the discussion we just had, right? So the best question is, what would be my job responsibilities? What are my expectations for the firm? The next better question that you could ask is, what do you do in and out for this particular project? For example, again, if I am interviewing a polytechnic student, आप पूछो कि आपके प्रोजेक्ट में आप डे इन डे आउट क्या कैसे काम करते हैं, इंडस्ट्री में कैसे काम होता है. If you are a fresher, you show some enthusiasm as to how the industry professionally works. That is a very good question. And the next better question, according to me, is talk about the company. Ask something about the company, because that is a public information, right? For example, if XYZ company comes and visits your university campus for the interviewers, and then the interviewer asks, do you have any questions? Then ask about a question that you have heard or read somewhere about the company, because that's when you are connecting at the very last edge of the rope with the interviewer, right? So these are the three better questions that I feel. One is to ask about the responsibilities that you will be going through, ask about the job role that the company has to offer and what they do day in, day out, or ask about the company that you are interviewing for, right? Hope you will follow this. Any more questions, guys? Yeah.
मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जैसे भी हम लोग कोर्स कर रहे हैं, जैसे मैं बीटेक में हूँ, मैं बीटेक कर रही हूँ, आफ्टर 1 ईयर मेरा बीटेक कंप्लीट होता है. आफ्टर बीटेक मैं जॉब के लिए ट्राई करती हूँ. आपके साथ फेलियर जरूरी है या फेलियर होता है? जैसे आपको 30 मिनट्स मिले, मुझे 1 साल तक जॉब नहीं मिलती है या 2 साल तक जॉब नहीं मिलती है, तो ऑब्वियस सी बात है वो रिज्यूम में तो हम डालेंगे कि हमारा 2 साल का गैप हो रहा है एंड अभी भी हम एज अ फ्रेशर ही हैं आपके पास. तो वो सर कितना इम्पैक्ट करता है? और अगर सामने वाले डेस्क पर बैठे हैं, तो सामने से क्वेश्चन कर रहे हैं कि आपने 2 साल में क्या किया, 1 साल में क्या किया और आपको जॉब क्यों नहीं मिली, तो उसमें हमारा सही आंसर क्या होगा करना कि हम क्या आंसर देंगे?
And this is again one of the beautiful questions. So the question is, how are we going to deal with the gaps that we have after we complete our education, or if we are dealing with the interviews? Now, the first and the better answers that every professor or your father or anybody who's a guardian would give is, why are you waiting to attempt for the interview or preparing for the interview at the end of your engineering? Why don't you be prepared by the starting of your 3rd year or so, right? So आप क्या करो, बेटर solution ये रहेगा कि आप do not wait for your engineering or BTech to be completed and then start prepping up yourself for the interview. You have a good amount of time, as you said, you are in the last year, and this is when you can actually give your 100% of preparation for the interview, right? This is when you can actually start preparing for the interview, applying for the jobs, because if you see, there are campus placements that will happen, and they get the job in the final year of their engineering. They have not cleared their engineering, they did not get this degree yet, but they have the jobs in hand. This is because they have started preparing themselves a little ahead in the game. Right? The first point would be, do not wait until the time is gone. Be prepared before in hand. For example, if you're in 3rd year, start learning the technologies that are working in the market. If you are from the mechanical background, understand what's going on in the market. Study, apply for the jobs, and attempt for the jobs. Right? You can go for off-campus placements and attend for the job. Now, for if there are candidates who have passed that phase, right? Engineering ho gayi, still applying for the jobs, not getting selected, 1 saal ho gaya, 2 saal ho gaya, and etc. What I generally suggest to those people is, why are you actually only applying for the jobs and doing nothing in that 1 year? Right? Doing nothing and only applying for the job is a waste of time, because you are just waiting for the opportunity, not prepping up yourself. मान लीजिए कि आपकी इंजीनियरिंग होती है 2024 में, 2025 आपका पूरा जॉब्स अप्लाई करने में जाता है, and I would say try to apply as many jobs as you can. Now, if you do not get selected in multiple jobs, you don't do nothing is a mistake, right? try to prepare yourself, join some courses or join some institutions to better equip yourself professionally and technically, and then try to apply, because this is something that is going to definitely help you with a very genuine and honest answer that these years what have you done, आपने क्या किया? Sir, मैंने ये किया. I was failing. I was actually failing, and I have done this. I have learned this technology. I have joined this particular course, and etc. The third thing is, आप अगर एक जॉब के लिए अप्लाई करते हो, दैट इज योर ड्रीम कंपनी, या आपने एमएनसी सीख कर रखा है, आई वुड सजेस्ट, इफ योर टाइम इज गेटिंग पास्ड बाय, मतलब 6 महीने हो गए, 8 महीने हो गए, ट्राई टू लोअर योर एस्पिरेशंस टू अ लिटिल स्टार्टअप कंपनीज, स्मॉल स्केल कंपनीज, गेट अ जॉब, right? This is one of the mistakes that often students do, is they only aim for certain norms of company, big 4 or MNCs में जाएंगे as a engineering student. We don't want to get into small companies, but the point here is the entry door. Once you are into the industry, the future is yours. So do not waste the time. Have some good options open and available in front of you. Hope that answers your question. Okay, sure. All right, thank you so much, guys. It was lovely interacting with you.
Sir, I would like to ask my students, can anybody of you can convey what has been the takeaway from the session we had today? 5 takeaway. What is that you are going to take?
Ma'am, I'm afraid that they would say I failed in 13 interviews.
5 takeaway. Anybody? So nothing is there in your mind, or nothing is that you are going to improve at your end, so that you can crack your interview ahead. Such a lovely session. It's been 15 years. I'm into the teaching fraternity, sir. I have come across many such sessions, and the session of your kind, a very young personality giving the interview tips, is a great thing. I was here. Otherwise, all the time you used to see elderly people coming and giving tips, because the trend has changed. Even the young generation has got a lot to share with us, because they have become vocal. They have become vocal. They are sharing good insights of his own experiences. Please consider that and crack your interviews. Thank you. Thank you, sir. There is no takeaway that because they are little shy. They'll come out in future. Thank you.
Definitely, hope so. Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad Mudassir Ahmed, software engineer, and he has done his graduation from Asifia College of Engineering. And the takeaways, I can tell about the takeaways, what I have noted on. First of all, he has started with the breaking the ice. We have to start with the interview from some anecdote or something which inspires the employer. Then he has started telling about the low in confidence. अगर आप नर्वस हो गए, वो तो एक फितरी बात है. सर ने जैसे बताया ना कि अगर नर्वस हो गए तो 2 एक्सरसाइज करिए, एक तो हिप में रखिए, दूसरा वी आपका एक करिए, जिससे जो है, मैं एक स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन होने के नाते बताता हूँ कि ये जो एक्सरसाइजेस हैं जिससे जो है वाकई आपको कॉन्फिडेंस डेवलप होता है. उसके बाद सर का जो है लास्ट इंटरव्यू में जो है, मैंने सर को इस वास्ते खास तौर पे यहाँ पर मदऊ किया था कि सर ने एक बहुत अच्छी बात बताई, मोहम्मद मुदस्सिर अहमद ने, कि जो है अगर कोई पूछा कि भाई आप कोई स्पीच देने जा रहे हैं, आपके बारे में कोई कुछ बोले, तो इन्होंने बोला कि देखो अगर कोई भी कुछ भी कहता है बोलने दीजिए उनको, मगर हम अपना जो है कभी पीछे नहीं हटेंगे और हम बोलेंगे. सो सर के पेटेंट वर्ड्स थे उसमें कि अगर कोई बोले कि जो है आपको आपकी स्पीच ऐसी थी, बोलने दीजिए उनको, मगर हम एक्सटेम्पो रहेंगे, बोलते रहेंगे इंशाल्लाह. इसके साथ साथ सर ने जो स्टार मेथड के बारे में बताया कि जो एब्रीविएशन S स्टैंड्स फॉर सेट द सीन, डिस्क्राइब द चैलेंज, सिचुएशन, टास्क है, एक्शन है, रिजल्ट है. ये 4 चीज़ें अगर आप माइंड में रखें तो फिर उस तरीके से आप जवाब दे सकते हैं एम्प्लॉयर का. ये ख़ास तौर पे फुट नोट करने की चीज़ें हैं. और ये चीज़ें जैसा मुदस्सिर सर ने बताया कि जो है ये आपको किताबों से नहीं मिलती है, एक्सपीरियंस से मिलती है. और जो सर ने जो बताया ना फेलियर, हम फेलियर की तरफ तवज्जो कर रहे थे, कितने फेलियर्स थे, मगर फेलियर से लर्न करें। इसी एतबार से एक यहाँ पर एक मशहूर जो है, इससे पहले एक चांसलर थे मिस्टर जफर सरिशवाला, उनके साथ एक मुंबई के जो है एक सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर थे, उन्होंने जो है एक ऐसा फर्म चलाया सर मुंबई में, जिसमें जो है बच्चे उनके इंटरव्यू देने के लिए आते थे। कंपनी में जो है सेलेक्ट होना अलग बात रहती, तो वो बोलते कि हम उनका इंटरव्यू देंगे तो हमारे स्किल्स डेवलप होंगे। उनके पास बच्चे, अगर 2 पोस्ट है तो 2000 बच्चे आते थे, मगर वो लोग गेन करते थे कि व्हाट दे हैव लर्न, व्हाट मिस्टेक्स दे हैव डन, दे वांट टू रेक्टिफाई, और वो लोग बताते थे कि बेटा आपने ये इंटरव्यू में ये गलतियां की, इसको आप रेक्टिफाई करना है। एंड ही वाज द वन हु स्टार्टेड placements for blind people in Mumbai. The government of Maharashtra, they have given a full, a big land to start startup for blind peoples. तो ऐसा होता है कि अपने अपने फेलियर से लर्न करना है, कि मतलब ये है कि हम जो फेलियर पहला जो हमारा हुआ उसको रेक्टिफाई करना है और आगे बढ़ना है। उसके बाद सर ने बताया कि जो है कि किसी ने पूछा कि जो है बेस्ट क्वेश्चन क्या रहता है, कि अक्सर पूरा होने के बाद एनी क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम योर साइड, तो सर ने बेस्ट आंसर बताया कि भाई अगर मैं सेलेक्ट होता हूँ, इसका मतलब ये है कि आप डायरेक्टली बोल रहे हैं कि मैं सेलेक्ट हो गया हूँगा शायद, तो व्हाट माइट बी माय रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज या जॉब रोल्स। तो मैं मुदस्सिर अहमद सर को जो है शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ कि बिल्कुल कम वक्त में जो है आपने हमारा एक्सेप्टेंस को हमारे जो है इसके लिए कबूल किया है, और ये जो है लाइव स्ट्रीम हो रहा है, और तमाम जो है हमारे ऑफ कैंपस के फाइनल ईयर के जो स्टूडेंट जुड़े हुए हैं यूजी पीजी के, ये हमारे यूट्यूब में इंस्ट्रक्शनल मीडिया सेंटर का भी हम शुक्रिया अदा करते हैं कि ये अपने यूट्यूब पे रहता है। और सुबह में जो सेशन था बेसिक कम्युनिकेशंस पे था, कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स में जो हम ऑफन जो गलतियां करते हैं कैसे इंप्रूव करना, शेर खान साहब जो है हमको बताए थे। उसके बाद सर ने इंटरव्यूज के लिए कैसा प्रिपरेशन करने के लिए बताया। कल का जो सेशन है 11 बजे, यहाँ जहाँ ठहरे हुए हम CPDMT जिसे कहा जाता है, सेंटर फॉर प्रोफेशनल डेवलपमेंट ऑफ उर्दू मीडियम टीचर्स, इसके जो डायरेक्टर है MA सिद्दीकी साहब, जिसका जो है काफ़ी वास्ट एक्सपीरियंस है, कम वक्त में इन्होंने तकरीबन कई हज़ार इंग्लिश टीचर्स को ट्रेन किए हैं। उनका सेशन रहेगा रेज्यूमे प्रिपरेशन, आप रेज्यूमे कैसा बनाना है, कैसा इफेक्टिव रहना है, और जो लिखा है उसको कैसा एक्सप्रेस करना है, दैट विल बी टुमारो सेशन। देन इन आफ्टरनून हम यहाँ पर मॉक इंटरव्यूज लेंगे, जहाँ पर अलीगढ़ से एक मशहूर खातून डॉक्टर तज़ीन सिद्दीकी वो हमारे साथ ज्वाइन करेंगे, और इंग्लिश डिपार्टमेंट की डॉक्टर समीना तबस्सुम रहेंगे, वो एक उनसे इंटरव्यू लेंगे बच्चों से। और जो कॉमन मिस्टेक जो हम करते हैं इंटरव्यू के वक्त, जैसे सर ने बताया कि वेरी फर्स्ट चाहे कोई भी तुरंची रहे वो नर्वस हो जाता है, तो उसको कैसा एक्सप्रेस करना है, कैसा क्या बोलना है, क्या चीज़ उनको अवॉइड करना है, डूज एंड डोंट्स, वो भी बताएंगे इंशाल्लाह। मैं हमारे डीन स्टूडेंट्स वेलफेयर प्रोफेसर अलीम अशरफ जैसी साहब का बेहद शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ। उनके तवस्सुस से जो है हमारे को मुदस्सिर साहब की जो है आइडेंटिफिकेशन हुआ है। सर से मैं दरख्वास्त करता हूँ कि सर ये एक हम 5 महीने हैं अभी हमारे के लिए, मार्च और अप्रैल, उसके लिए ट्रेनिंग एंड प्लेसमेंट सेल अपनी तरफ से पूरी टीम मिलके, जैसा अभी हमारे डॉक्टर गीता पट्टू मैडम ने एक खुशखबरी सुनाई है, 2 दिन पहले यहाँ पर इंटरव्यूज हुए थे, कल ही हुए थे इंटरव्यूज इंटर्नशिप के लिए। एक NSDC की जो एक गवर्नमेंट की एक स्कीम है, तकरीबन जो है उसमें 35-40 बच्चे जो है बीटेक के लिखे थे, उसमें से 9 बच्चे सेलेक्ट हुए, 11 सेलेक्ट हुए हैं, तो ये एक बड़ी कामयाबी है। हम ये सिलसिले को जारी रखेंगे। लॉ वाले भी हमारे साथ शामिल थे, सुबह में भी थे, आज क्योंकि वर्ल्ड कुछ लॉ डे कुछ है वो मनाया जा रहा। मैं तबरेज सर से भी गुजारिश करूंगा कि कल के जो सेशंस है कि वो सेशंस मिस नहीं करना है, वो UGPG के लिए। मैं अदबन डॉक्टर अलीम अशरफ जैसी साहब से गुजारिश करता हूँ सर 2 लम्हा कुछ एड्रेस, हमारे 2 दिन का वर्कशॉप UGPG के लिए और 1 दिन का जो है 12 तारीख के दिन सर ये वर्कशॉप। ठीक है,
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया डॉक्टर यूसुफ साहब। मैं तो यहाँ सिर्फ शुक्रगुजारी के लिए खड़ा हुआ हूँ। अजीज़ तलबा, आज से 15 साल पहले जब हम लोगों ने हैदराबाद में CGC की बुनियाद डाली थी, कैरियर एंड गाइडेंस काउंसिल की बुनियाद डाली थी, तो हमारे हाशिए ख्याल में नहीं था कि इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से हमारे अपने बच्चे, मानू के बच्चे इससे फ़ायदा उठाएंगे। तो अगर आप सिंसियरिटी के साथ कोई काम कीजिए तो उसका फायदा दुनिया कैसे उठाती है, मगर अल्टीमेटली वो फायदा आपको भी पहुंचता है। तो मैं बेहद शुक्रगुजार हूँ मुदस्सिर का कि उन्होंने टाइम दिया, और जाहिर सी बात है कि हम सीजीसी के ज़रिए जो है पूरे शहर में और शहर से बाहर मुल्क भर में ट्रेनिंग का ये प्रोग्राम चलाते हैं। मुनव्वर हमारे साथी कतर पहुंच गए हैं, और परसों हमारी बात हो रही थी कि कतर में भी वो सीजीसी के कुछ प्रोग्राम करना चाहते हैं। तो दरअसल बुनियादी तौर पर ये एक लगन होती है कि कुछ लोग होते हैं जो सिर्फ फ़ायदा उठाने के लिए होते हैं, कुछ लोग होते हैं जो फ़ायदा पहुंचाने के लिए होते हैं, और कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं ना फ़ायदा उठाते हैं ना फ़ायदा पहुंचाते हैं। तो सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट ये है कि आप फ़ायदा देने वालों में से बनिए, और अगर आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते तो कम से कम फ़ायदा उठाने वालों में से बनिए। और तीसरी कैटेगरी में बिल्कुल जाने की कोशिश मत कीजिए। तो मैं, दानिश साहब हैं, आईएमसी के लोग हैं, खुद ट्रेनिंग प्लेसमेंट के जो हमारे जिम्मेदार हैं डॉक्टर यूसुफ खान साहब हैं, मैं इन लोगों का भी शुक्रिया अदा करता हूं। और बच्चों, सबसे ज़्यादा अहमियत और ज़रूरत आपकी है। आप जानते हैं कि एक ज़माना था कि खाना खिलाना वो सबसे अच्छा काम होता था, फिर कुएं बनवाना, फिर सड़क बनाना, फिर लोगों को रिहाइश के लिए मकान देना, और आज मुझे कहने दीजिए कि आज सबसे अहम काम यह है कि लोगों को जॉब की तरफ रास्ता दिखाना चाहिए। आज के ज़माने में इससे बड़ा और कोई नेकी का काम नहीं है, और ये नेकी का काम मैं जिम्मेदारी से कहता हूं कि ये नेकी का काम मस्जिद बनाने से, दीनी इंस्टीट्यूशन बनाने से भी ज़्यादा बड़ा और अहम काम है। क्योंकि आप जब किसी को रोजी दिलाते हैं तो गोया आप एक पूरी फैमिली को एस्टेब्लिश करते हैं, उसे बुनियाद फराहम करते हैं, उसके कदमों को इस ज़मीन पर जमाने की कोशिश करते हैं। आप भी इससे फ़ायदा उठाइए और इस सिलसिले को आगे बढ़ाइए। आप फ़ायदा लीजिए और दूसरों को फ़ायदा जो है वो पहुंचाने की कोशिश कीजिए। मैं उन तमाम लोगों का जो इस प्रोग्राम में शरीक हैं, आईएमसी वाले हों या ट्रेनिंग प्लेसमेंट के जिम्मेदार हों, मैं सबका शुक्रिया अदा करता हूं, और ये ख्वाहिश करता हूं कि ये नेकी और खैर का ये काम जो है वो बंद नहीं होना चाहिए, लगातार होना चाहिए। मैं मुदस्सिर का भी एक बार शुक्रिया अदा करता हूं, और उम्मीद करता हूं कि उनका ताउन भी हमें आइंदा मुस्तकबिल में भी हासिल रहेगा। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।